Yo, what is good, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Renegade Roundtable podcast. Here, I am Jeffrey Kirby. As always, each and every week, we are joined by the man, the myth, the legend himself, Jarryd. Jarryd, how in the hell are you?
Doing all right. Another same old week, same old news, pretty much. Mostly, besides the game we had last week. Uh, that's pretty much it.
Um, just so just so we can know, how are your Yankees down there? I couldn't hear you guys down there.
We're doing all right. We got.
Well, we couldn't hear you guys down there because we're all the way up top, so
Oh, okay. You guys really have a tough division.
Hey, it don't matter. We got the best record in baseball, so don't matter. All right. So obviously, we had our first preseason game.
Yep.
That's the exciting part. The not so exciting part was a lot of what we saw in the game. Now, I granted it is preseason game number 1. You are going to see some mistakes. You're going to see different things, but it seemed like it was an ugly one. There
Sloppy,
was a lot more bad than good.
sloppy, very sloppy.
Let's start off with the goods. Now, my two that I put in the good category were both on defense.
Oh yeah, I think I know one of them already.
Peyton Wilson.
Yep.
Peyton Wilson flying around the field, looking like the guy that we were hoping that we were going to get so far. And here's kind of my rookie expectations for Peyton Wilson. Was maybe hopefully a better version of what I personally thought we were going to get with Joe Schobert. Now, hear me out when I say this, because I saw a lot of Joe Schobert when he was in Cleveland the year that he was a Pro Bowler. And he was a good linebacker. He was just one of those guys where he was going to make a lot of tackles, but he missed a lot of tackles. I'm hoping that we could get someone like that, but obviously miss, less tackles and all that. But but the way that he's able to fly around the field and just be all over the damn place, that's what I'm kind of hoping that we get out of him. And if that's the case, then that just adds in a whole different caveat to that linebacker room that we've been talking about before behind Patrick Queen and Landon Roberts. You get someone like that just adds a different dynamic to when you're a team that we're one of the very few teams in the NFL that I think that truly values highly that middle linebacker position.
Yep.
And so when you have a good rotation of middle linebackers, we saw it last year. It works out wonderful for you. And then when you start to loosen pieces like we did last year, where we lost both of our, two of our 3 middle linebackers in back-to-back weeks, you can see where it's like, all right, you can
Yeah.
see a little bit of a struggle there. And that's why it's nice to have guys behind your starting guys that could come in and you can feel confident that they're going to come in and make plays.
I was very, very happy to see him do really well. Flying all over the field. You know, very good.
Yeah.
That's one of the few goods.
My other good that I had was DeMarvin Leal.
Yep.
Seeing him more as he definitely could tell he slimmed down a little bit. He's playing at different positions, playing more of that outside linebacker spot. Now, this is where it becomes important. Marcus Golden, who we had just re-signed, he retired. So now,
Out of the blue.
so now that fourth outside linebacker spot's up for grabs. You would like to have someone there. And if DeMarvin Leal could be that guy that can rotate in with TJ, out. You have TJ and Alex Highsmith, and then to go along with Nick Herbig, you would like to have a fourth guy that could go in and make plays. And so far, we saw that, and he looked pretty good out there.
They're very, very well, for sure.
Yeah, those were my two positives. And I guess if you wanted to say another positive, was that Justin Fields did go 5 for 6 for 67 yards. How you could take that however you like. He was efficient.
He
For the
had
most
one good throw that I think everyone really liked, and that
Yeah,
was
it was that throw that went across the middle or
Fish.
whatever that was for like 20 yards. That was a really good throw. That was a really nice throw to see. But now we get to the bad. Number one and foremost, Quez Watkins as a punt returner. You had two where you called fair catches that you should not have fair caught. You should have try to make an attempt to run it out. And then you had a fumble.
Yep.
So, needless to say that we've been talking about this for a couple weeks. Who's that wide receiver that's going to make a contribution on special teams? Quez Watkins right now is not looking like that guy.
No, that was awful.
That was
Very bad.
not a good look. Which, by the way, well, you know what? We'll get to that a little bit later on. I'll ask you about the kickoff rule. Another bad that we saw was a couple fumbled exchanges that we exchanges from Fields and Herbig. Now, I don't know whether that's on Fields, if that's on Herbig, if that's a mixture of uh
Both.
yeah, how much of that is on both. I don't know, but you can't have that at all, especially because we went out and drafted a center in the second round for a reason, because there's a rich history of centers in this city, for number one. Number
Yep.
two, we had Mason Cole last year, and that was something that of a reason why we needed a new center, was because there were issues with snaps at times, and you simply just cannot have two on the ground. That simply cannot do.
Yeah, it's definitely a mixture of both. Luckily, they put Zach Frazier. I think Kirby's hurt, so Frazier put getting more for that first team reps. Looks like he's going to start Saturday. We'll see.
I hope so. Another one that we saw was, and we saw this a little bit of what we've been used to seeing with Justin Fields. He took that sack. I believe it was on the first drive, where he was scrambling around and scrambled right into that sack. Who was beat
Yep.
by Fatanu was the guy that was on the right side that got beat. So that's, I mean, you could take that and I was just rewatching it a little bit. I forget who it was that got the sack on Fields, but I mean, he was pretty deep. It wasn't like
Daniil Hunter was the
it
guy.
was Daniil Hunter. Okay. It wasn't like one of those things where he had him good and it just Fields just rolled completely outside the pocket. It wasn't one of those situations. He was pretty deep and pretty close. And so Fatanu did get beat on that play, which, I mean, okay, it's his first time, first NFL
Good
reps
pass
in
rusher
a
too. I
game.
like it.
And Daniil Hunter was not act like he's a dud or
Yep.
anything.
Yep.
That dude's a very good pass rusher in the NFL. So, you could take that however you like, but in terms of, taking that sack, there was another sack that got taken where the off of the line just kind of collapsed completely.
Yep.
So that's obviously something that we're going to monitor into the last two preseason games. And then the other one, I think this is my last one, was I think we saw Broderick Jones flip flop a little bit between left side or right side. People are questioning why you're doing that. Listen, I wasn't mad at it because it's not a bad thing to be able to play both sides based on a situation. Whether you are a starter or not, it's if you're not a starter, especially, it's important to be able to have position flexibility. But even
Oh
if
yeah.
you are, it's not a bad thing to have. Where, say for example, Fatanu does get hurt, and say you do have to bring in Dan Moore. Well, Dan Moore, how he is as a left tackle. We've seen Broderick Jones have experience at the right tackle's position, so why not? So it's not a bad thing to me to be able to have guys that can play multiple positions and play multiple sides.
It's good that Fatano's not majorly hurt, which was a
Yes,
little
that's
bit
another thing too.
scary.
That's something that we can add in the good. So he was wearing a brace around during this week, during practice and all that. So that's something that we're gonna have to monitor as well. Good things so far. Actually, you know what? I'm not gonna even say it because I don't want to jinx anything. But there's one particular team that has been getting hurt. It seems like a lot recently.
Oh, don't bring them up. I feel bad for them.
How do I feel bad for JJ McCarthy.
Yeah.
I do, but it's still F Michigan.
Of course. I knew it's shocker.
You
The
knew that was.
question is now for this Saturday, you know, uh, Russ is probably going to start. If I had to,
I'm
if I had to
curious to
guess.
see how they're going to handle this based on
Yeah,
the
they
fact
haven't.
that they're doing the joint practices with the Buffalo
Yep.
Bills this week.
Yep.
Typically, when you have a joint practice, you do a lot of your good on goods or your one on ones during those where it's more controlled, and then you don't play them in the preseason game. Now, we know that Mike Tomlin and the Steelers do things a little bit different. There are teams that value playing their starters in the preseason. Mike Tomlin is one of them. Matt LaFleur in Green Bay is one of them.
Yep.
Andy Reid in Kansas City is one of them. They value playing their guys in the preseason. And then there you get guys like Sean McVay who are like, you're not playing a snap in the preseason.
Yeah. It just depends on the coach and how they want to play them.
Right. And so
It's
I'm
a,
curious to see how they're going to handle that. But I would personally like to see Russell Wilson out there. I want to see what this
oh, we
offense
need
looks like
to.
with
We
Russell
need to.
Wilson out there, because now I have a visualization, good lord, of what the Justin Fields offense is going to look like versus potentially what a Russell Wilson offense is going to look like.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to see it because there's still question marks at the quarterback position. If Russ is not still playing, Justin Fields has the door. The door is going to be open for him.
Yeah, and I mean, and I was just having this conversation last night with a coworker of mine at work, and they were saying, uh, Justin Fields should be the guy, and I'm like, I have question marks still. I
Yeah.
still have the question marks about footwork. I still have questions about, I think there's inconsistent accuracy at times. Now, the one thing that is nice is the fact that he started in the offseason, started working with a quarterback coach that is able to try to go back to what he was at Ohio State in terms of his timing, in terms of his
Yep.
throwing motion, because that got changed in Chicago. So you're going back into trying to find what you were at Ohio State in terms of the success and the way that you were able to throw the football. I get you were playing against college versus the NFL. I know that's two totally different things, but if you could find what you were successful at and find a way to get back to that level, that's something that's a positive that you would like to see.
Are we going to get, I was going to say MVP Russ, like Seattle Russ, or we're going to get not
Denver
so,
Russ.
Denver Russ? Denver Russ wasn't that bad, statistically, but he just wasn't good at all. But we'll see what happens. Like I said, still got, as of today, 3 weeks till our first NFL game for Thursday night. Was it the Chiefs and Ravens, right? Or Eagle? I don't even know who it is. It's one of those games. It's a Thursday. It's
Yeah.
definitely the Chiefs.
Well, of
But
course it is. Yeah, I am really excited. And speaking of week one, looks like our offensive line is going to be going up against a new pass rusher.
yep.
Where, for those that do not know, the Atlanta Falcons last night, because we're currently recording this on Thursday, 11:16 a.m. Last night, so Wednesday the 14th, the Falcons traded for Patriots outside linebacker and edge rusher Matthew Judon, who Matthew Judon's a nice. He is a very good pass rusher. So that's someone that adds a different caveat to things as well for Atlanta and for the way we're going to have to game plan.
Yeah, just makes it makes it more tougher for week one is a tough. It's not an easy game. First week. For anybody. First game of the season, you're going against Kirk Cousins, their new offense. They're hoping to use B.J. Robinson or more. It's gonna be
Yeah.
tough, and that defense has got better too.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how that's going to look, and obviously you would hope that when you have two young tackles that would help things out a little bit, but obviously when it came to Broderick Jones last year, he struggled a little bit, but again was playing out of position. So it was like, all right, you gave him a tiny bit of a pass for that. This
Mm-hmm.
year, you would like to see him, if more of that left tackle spot, you would like to see him. So you would like to see some more success from him on the left side and being able to protect whoever the quarterback is, whether it's Russell Wilson, whether it's Justin Fields, protect their blind side. And so that's something that we're really going to be monitoring over as well, especially in that game and just throughout the season as well.
Yeah, it's exciting. Like I said, every day the days go by, gets more exciting towards the season. Gets a little bit much more closer, especially for NFL and college football as well. It's getting a lot
Which,
closer.
speaking of which, I've been seeing this little thing. You've been seeing it too. The infamous day in college football, October 12th. Which, first and foremost, shout out to my mom. That's my mother's birthday, by the way. So that is a special day. And it's funny how have you been seeing this trend where a lot of people, I guess October 12th this year is one of the most popular wedding days of the year.
Mhm. Yeah, I saw that.
And that's
Yeah.
become a whole fad or whatever. And people are saying, if you have a wedding and on this, if you have a fall wedding, then those should be you should get a felony offense or something like that. Those have been. Luckily for me, I will be in probably the best place you could possibly want to be in for that day. Las Vegas,
Yep.
Nevada, baby.
Yep. I know you will be. Yep.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Because you got Ohio State, Oregon that day. You have there's a bunch of other games that are supposed to be really good that day too. Um yeah, I am excited. In fact, now I'm gonna have to look this up here. So let's go to week 7. Week 7 of the NFL season.
Yes.
Um So you have Ohio State, Oregon, Ole Miss, LSU, Penn State, USC, Florida, Tennessee.
Another
You
good matchup too.
have this is the biggest game of them all. Purdue and Illinois. I'm just kidding. Cal and Pittsburgh. Oh boy. But yeah, there are definitely some good games. I mean, like I said, Ohio State, Oregon, that's obviously that has potential to be the game of the year. Texas, Oklahoma,
Mm.
that's another good game. I'm just kind of scrolling through all these at this point. But yeah, there's definitely some good games that week. And if you have a wedding that day, I'm sorry.
Plan your wedding in the spring.
Yes, I'm looking at you, Herb. Shout out to our boy Herb. Love you both. I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with you guys.
Yeah.
But something that I saw that ESPN put out today, this was something that was a little bit interesting, and I want to discuss this with you. So they put it was every team or the win-loss record ceiling and floors for all teams in the NFL for 2024. Let's go to the AFC North here. So the AFC North, start off with the Baltimore Ravens. They believe that their ceiling record is 13-4 with the floor of being 8-9. They say that their biggest X factor will be their offensive line. And I would agree with that considering that they have lost 3/5 of their offensive line.
Yep.
How is that running game going to look? You bring in Derrick Henry, how are you going to look with a brand new,
Yep.
pretty much a brand new offensive line? How is that going to look? The Cincinnati Bengals, same exact deal. Ceiling 13-4, floor 8-9. The biggest X factor is secondary play.
I think that. Well, everyone's saying Joe Burrow's going to be. I hope he does well, but he's coming off an injury. It's another question mark.
Yeah. Then you get to the Cleveland Browns just because they go by alphabetical
Yeah.
order. The ceiling for them is 11-6, and the floor is 6-11. And their biggest X factor is running back Nick Chubb. I personally think their biggest X factor is
No.
going to be none other than Deshaun Watson because you're going into year 3 of that contract and you have no idea what kind of quarterback he is.
Deshaun
You have it
Watson.
because you can't go off of that first year. I personally don't think you could go off that year. And then last year he gets hurt early on in the season. So you're going into year 3 of a contract that is, and you truly, I mean, is he just what he is now? And they're just paying him 50 something million dollars a year to be mid or below mid, the way that some Browns fans talk. But I mean, Nick Chubb is obviously because they run heavily on him. Nick Chubb obviously had the injury last year, and he's one of the key focal points of that offense because that dude is a dog, literally and figuratively.
Oh yeah, Nick Chubb is. a beast.
And remember
Loved
in
it.
that game last year, that week 2 game, he was running all over us
Yep.
before he got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Steelers, the ceiling 11-6, the floor 5-12.
Wow.
That's a very wide gap. And their biggest X factor, and I would agree with this one, wide receiver depth. If it's not going to be the quarterback position, it's going to be the wide receiver depth.
100%. 100%.
And we've talked about this ad nauseum.
Hmm?
So,
Still with this other news going on.
Speaking of wide receivers, we are on day 972 of the Brandon Aiyuk saga. I'm ready to pull my hair out. What little hair I have left on top of my head.
Don't have much hair left for me as well. I'm very tired of seeing this every day of the same old news. Oh, he arrived at practice yesterday wearing a Niners shirt. Probably just didn't want to be fined. I'm glad he showed up. Good for him.
You know what?
Just-
San Francisco is just holding Brandon Aiyuk hostage
oh, no, 100%.
because they're saying, we're not going to pay you what you want to get. We're not going to trade you. So we're just going to keep you here, because apparently the rumor is that there is a deal set and done for if the trade were to happen.
Yep.
But it's just like, is there a point where San Francisco truly just says, all right, I give up, we're not going to do, there's just simply not going to be an extension done, or what is the case? I mean, we're just at this point
We're waiting. It's just a waiting game. The Steel, everyone's saying, "Oh, it's up to the Niners," waiting for the Niners to sign it off or make the call, whatever. A deal's in place. Get it done. Do it or not. If not, the Steelers can go look for another wide receiver in free agency that just got released.
Why would you do this? Why would you do this?
Would you say no? I wouldn't say no.
You're saying that you would say yes.
Why not?
The dude has knees worse than I have Achilles. The dude's knees, and excuse me, good Lord. Juju Smith-Schuster is one of my favorite NFL players of all time. I'm still a huge fan of Juju Smith-Schuster. However, the dude has the knees of a 95-year-old man. The dude has knees worse than whatever the hell worst thing you want to say possible. It is. I'm sorry. Is he going to make it through one quarter of a game before he just falls apart?
I had to stir the pot a little bit.
Apparently. Although I can't talk because I did the same exact thing. I posted it on Twitter a couple days ago.
It's an option if Brandon Ayuk's not going to be traded.
All I did was just literally post a picture of Juju, and that got people riled up.
We'll see what happens. Like I said, I'm tired. Everyone's tired. Everyone on Twitter's tired hearing the same old news. But Adam Schefter's in Pittsburgh as we speak, as of now. Kind of weird. A coincidence? I don't know. It's just random.
I don't think so.
I know.
As much as and you know what, though? I'm at the point where
I don't care what happens. That's what
you know what? San Francisco will be the type of team to send, say they don't get anything done. They'll send him literally the Saturday, the night before week 1.
Yep, I wouldn't be surprised.
Like, you bastards.
Yeah, San Francisco 49ers are now on my list. I had no beef with them, no quarry with them, but after dealing with this for feels like forever, I don't like them. I don't like them at all. And the Niners have, they have a lot of questions on on their side as well. They got some injuries going on their offense. McCaffrey got hurt. Ricky Pearsall's hurt. No, what's this left
Trent
tackle's not even
Williams.
there. Trent Williams ain't there. You got Brock Purdy's contract next coming up. And Lord knows how much he's gonna make. And you want to pay Brandon Aiyuk? Can't pay everybody.
You know what though? Speaking of teams, and this was a controversy going on right here where I live here in Cleveland, is so they just paid their middle linebacker Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah 3 years, $39 million. And the reason why I bring that up here is I got to re-pull up the article or re-pull up the tweet here on my phone, and it was interesting yesterday. And whether you are a believer in what if the salary cap is real or not, whatever, blah, blah, blah. The Browns this year have 13 players making over 10 million per season. According to Brad Spielberg and Ari Biroff. Deshaun Watson's at 46 million, Myles Garrett 25, Denzel Ward 20.1, Amari Cooper 20, Jerry Jeudy 17.5, Bitonio 16, Conklin 15, Dalvin Tomlinson 14.25, Wyatt Teller 14.2, David Njoku 13.687, Delpit at 12, Zadarius Smith at 11.5, and Jeremiah at 13. That is a lot of money. And listen, there's goods and bads to that. Good thing is you're able to bring in really good players.
Yep.
The bad news is that at some point it's going to catch up to you.
Oh.
At some point, look at how it's gone with the Saints. The Saints got themselves in cap hell.
Just because you kick the money down the road, it will come crawling right back.
And the biggest one is Deshaun Watson. You continue to do that.
Yeah, it's not going
to. So you put yourself in a bind. Either his cap hit that final year is going to be astronomically high, or you have to extend him. And if you extend him, then it adds a whole different caveat to things. So people don't realize just how hard it is. I
think salary cap.
You said what?
It's hard for the salary cap, right? People who do all the math and all that, who works in the front office, who has that job, I give them props. But it's.
Oh, I don't even think I mentioned Jack Conklin, who is not even going to probably be their starting tackle, more than likely. Yeah. Possibly. He's making $15 million. That dude can't stay healthy to save his life. So they're at the point where they're going to have to. That's why, and I'm going to tie this right back into the Aiyuk thing, because the Browns got used. And in my thing, the Browns and Patriots got used. I don't truly think that they were interested. I mean, yeah, they probably did their due diligence. Of course, that's what you're supposed to do as a GM. But if you're in San Francisco's shoes, that deal doesn't make sense, because why would you trade for someone that's going to be 4 years older and in the same exact situation? Yep. You're going to get similar-ish money. Number one. And number two, if you're Cleveland, it would make more sense, because you're going to get a guy that is a similar situation, but is probably better and is someone that is 4 years younger. So I would get that from their perspective. But again, we just talked about the money. There's a decent shot that Amari Cooper might end up being, because he's going to probably get close to 30 mil a year. I think there's a good shot that he's gone next year.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where it catches up.
Like I said, I just want this news to end. Please. I pray every day now. So please end this saga. And then all these people on Twitter all these people on Twitter are so annoying with the same news. Don't drop the same news that we know since 2 weeks ago.
It's because they do it because they know that people will react to it, because they'll react to anything. They know it, and it sucks. But it's just where we're at nowadays, and oh man, I just can't wait for it to be over.
I can't wait, and then
And
hopefully,
then we're gonna stir it up right now because say the Ayuk thing doesn't happen. Oh, you best believe I'm starting that bad boy right back up with CD Lamb. Oh, we're just moving on the train.
yeah,
That train's going from San Francisco to Dallas, baby.
someone tweeted a trade saga part 2, CD Lamb at the bottom.
Yes,
Oh my
sir.
gosh. Honestly, it would be awesome to have CD Lamb. It would be very nice
But
with George Pickens on the other side too.
I have
We'll see.
about as realistic as me going on a diet and sticking to it.
But we'll see. It's gonna end soon, hopefully. Hopefully before the season starts. It's at this point it could go up right to, like you said, the Saturday before week 1.
Yeah, I'm just at this point. I just please let it end. Please let it end.
And then for Saturday's game, I really hope, I think Fatano's not gonna play this game. So we'll see who really plays. Honestly, more Mason McCormick. I want to see how he does. He did a little bit decently,
Yeah.
I guess, when he played his first game. Uh, Van Jefferson having a good camp so far. So I heard he's been doing really good. And Peyton
Eventually,
Wilson.
I would like to see depending on how I don't know how his what was it, a knee or an ankle for Roman Wilson?
I think it's an ankle.
Okay, I would like to somehow if we could somehow get him out there next week in the final
Yeah,
preseason game. That'd be kind of nice to
they're
see.
saying he's getting a lot closer, which is good. I would like to see him at least for a series or two in the last preseason game. It would be
Yeah,
nice just to see how he is. With George Pickens, Van Jefferson, Fryermuth on the line. We'll see. And then, yeah, Peyton Wilson ball out again. Do it again. Week 2 in a row. I would love to see that again. He just like the first snap on defense. He shot out like a cannon. Just goes
yeah,
hits the hole like that. It's pretty. For all the injury concern, if he just stays healthy, like everyone says, I think he's just gonna be just fine.
yeah. I'm excited still. It's just I'm curious to see how we're gonna look on Saturday. But other than that, I think that might be about it for this week. Unless you got anything else you want to.
NBA schedule comes out 3 p.m. today, though. It drops today for the
What's the
season.
NBA? I only care about the NFL.
Of
Oh wait, there's only one time I care about the NBA.
course, I think I know.
What happened in that round 1 series?
No, did not win. I know.
Oh yeah, I just needed a reminder. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
But other than that, I do want to say, hope you guys have a great weekend. Hope you guys enjoy. I'll be golfing once again because
Yep.
if there's 3 guarantees of life is death, taxes, and me out here golfing this year. But until then, you guys have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe. Make sure to like, comment, and hit that red subscribe button. Go follow us both on social medias as well. And until then, have a great weekend. Stay safe once again. And it's go Steelers. We'll just say fuck the Magic, fuck the Yankees, and fuck Michigan. Goodbye, everyone. Have a great weekend.